Hi, everyone. Welcome to the M365 Voice podcast. This is our first podcast for 2021. And today we thought we'd do a get to know your podcasters podcast. So first of all, I'm Antonio Mayo. And
I'm Sarah Haasey.
And I am Mike Manorani.
All right. And we're going to do a little bit of an introduction for each of us. Perhaps what we do, what we like to work on, what we like to do for fun, and then we're going to get into some questions so you can get to know us a little bit better. So I'll start off first. So as I mentioned, my name's Antonio Mayo. I'm a director and a senior enterprise architect with Protiviti. Also Microsoft MVP, as all of us here are. As you've probably seen from some of our past podcasts, the areas that I like to work in the M365 space are security, compliance, information governance, and identity management. Those are the areas that I like to play. From a personal perspective, the things I like to do are, reading, oil painting, rock climbing, biking, those kinds of things. Sarah, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Sarah Haasey. I'm a product manager, librarian, information architect, and I tend to work for really large organizations, helping them roll out, utilize, and govern Microsoft 365. And I really love topics like user adoption, things like rolling out capabilities like OneDrive, SharePoint, Yammer, Power Automate, things like that. And lately have been joining Antonio a lot on security and compliance topics, including Microsoft Information Protection. So that's been a really nice foray of late. I'm the only podcaster in the trio that is not Canadian. As we like to say, I'm Southern Canadian. I live in Minnesota. In the US. And in terms of my spare time, definitely hanging out with the kids, reading. I have a horrible COVID Netflix habit that I've got to try and kick as well. So that's me, Mike.
Mike Manorani. I am an independent consultant. I am a Microsoft MVP as well. Been doing it forever. Focus in the M365 is a lot on the migration, on the Teams deployment, the intranet side, content management, content services, tenant to tenant migration. I do a lot of these projects for a few projects a year, actually. And on the personal side, travel is my biggest fan. So I'm really anxious to get on the airplane in the next few months and get back to the norm life. I enjoy playing soccer. I used to be a soccer coach as well. Picked up the running habit in the summer, so I'm still enjoying running as well. So that's a plus of the 2020, I guess, if you can look at it that way.
That's great. Well, we're going to go on to some questions. Sarah, I think you've got a few questions for us to help people get to know us better.
I do, and they're going to start off with some really nice, relaxed questions to make this a little bit easier. And then for fun later on, we're going to get into some comparative questions about which of us is the most likely to blank. So get ready for that one. All right, so I'm just going to put these out here and we can kind of do round robin. So Antonio, I'm going to have you lead us off on this question. Okay. If you were a superhero, what power would you have?
Oh my goodness. If I was a superhero, what power would I have? So you may or may not be able to tell behind me, I have my comic book collection just over my shoulder over there up on the bookshelf. So longtime comic book fan. My favorite superhero is probably Captain America. So if I was a superpower, it'd probably be something like what I don't know how to describe it, but something like what he does or has. I like his shield too. I'm not sure if that's the answer, but
I know the answer to that question, actually. That's a really good question. Okay, Mike, superpower.
Superhero. Flying. I'd love to be able to fly. Even though Spider-Man is my superhero character, but flying is something I'd like to have.
Wow, whoever knew that. Yeah, this is a hard one. Normally, like flying or X-ray vision, I think would be a great one to have too, as the only person wearing glasses on the podcast. So that would have to probably be my answer.
Vision would be
How many?
handy.
Yeah, how many languages do you speak, Mike?
3.
And they are?
Arabic, English, and French.
Antonio?
3, English, French, and Italian.
And you both live in Canada, so is French kind of compulsory to at least know a little?
I think it depends on the part of Canada that you live in. So Mike and I are both in Ottawa, which is right on the border of Quebec, and this is where the federal government is. So if you're ever going to do federal government work, it's really handy to be able to speak French. It's a requirement if you're actually going to work in the federal government. But yeah, Mike, what do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially on any I would say Eastern Ontario and going east. Typically, you will find people speaking, unless you live in Quebec or in New Brunswick, a lot of English speak French as well.
Yeah.
But I learned it when I was a kid. I grew up in Lebanon, and Lebanon was a French colony, so I was in a French nun school, so it was prohibited for us to speak any language but French. So
I didn't know that. That's actually very interesting.
So that's how I picked it up.
Even French-speaking school in Lebanon.
What's that?
A French-speaking school in Lebanon with nuns.
Yes, yeah, they are very popular. They're all over the place.
Wow.
Even when I moved here to go to university, my first couple of years at Ottawa University were in the French. So you can take the French or the English program. Right. So I was in the French program. So my English was not so good up until like I was here for like 3 years. On the third year, I started picking up the English.
Yeah. All through school, I was in a French immersion program and got my bilingual certificate as part of graduating high school. But if you don't use it, I find it gets rusty pretty fast, at least for me.
That's very interesting. Well, I'm going to bring down the relative language ability on the podcast curve here. English Minnesotan, which is a whole different language. If you visit northern Minnesota, we have whole different words. And then I actually grew up in the southern United States for quite a few years, so I do have a little southern in there as well. So, but nothing as interesting as Arabic, French, and English. So. Antonio, you also know a little bit of Italian.
I do. I speak Italian. I lived in Italy back in 1992 for a while, and I went to Italian school in Ottawa all growing up. So you have a lot of language schools here on Saturday mornings. My parents, despite my arguing, sent me to Italian school. So yeah.
Very interesting. All right. Where would you most like to travel to, Antonio?
Where would I most like to travel to?
Mm-hmm.
So other than to visit our friends in the community like you all, I would love to travel to, that's a hard choice. I'd love to go to Florence, Italy again. That's my city. But I'd also love to see Australia. So two answers there.
Australia is gorgeous.
Ironically, it is a very, very similar answer to you, Antonio. Loving the travel, many places in Europe, but Italy was the next on the list for us to go to. And Australia is one of the things I've always said I'm gonna visit Australia one day.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I have never gotten to go to Italy. I have been to Australia, which is gorgeous. One of my favorite places to visit, and we know quite a few people in the broader M365 community from South Africa, but I've had the chance to go to South Africa twice, and it's gorgeous. I absolutely love it. But for me, my favorite place that I look forward to travel to the most, and you both know this because I had a trip in 2020 booked to go to Iceland, and it got pushed out to 2021 due to COVID. So I am most looking forward to being able to travel to Iceland as a place I have never been, because hopefully we're going to get there this year.
Cool.
So that's the hope. All right, so let's talk about some comparisons of your fellow podcasters, starting off with a really lightweight question, Antonio. Who's your favorite fellow podcaster?
Oh, come on. That's not fair.
Just kidding. I had to at least put it out there since I'm the one that gets to ask the question.
I couldn't pick a favorite. I like podcasting with both of you.
Okay, so I have a few questions of basically of the three of us, who is the most likely to blank or which of us is the most blank. So I'm going to ask the questions, which means you two are on the hook to answer as quickly as you can at the same time and just go ahead and shout it out. Okay, so in no particular order. Of the three of us, who travels with the most pairs of shoes?
Sarah.
Who's the most outgoing?
Sarah.
I don't think so. I was going to say Antonio, actually.
Really?
I don't know. You cannot answer Sarah to every one of these questions. Who would be the first in line to sing at karaoke?
Antonio.
I would agree with that one. Who's the only person who's going to sing at karaoke?
Antonio.
Mike and I will sit back and we will toast you with a beverage while we enjoy watching and recording that. Where is the last place you visited for an M365 event?
St. Louis.
SP, which one was it? It wasn't St. Louis for me. SPCon.
Oh, where was that one?
In San Francisco.
When did you go to San Francisco? Is that
just 2 weeks after St. Louis?
Because we were all three of us in St. Louis. So my last place that I went to was St. Louis because the three of us were there in January last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one of the three of us owns the most M365 t-shirts?
Me.
Okay, I can say me myself as well.
Are you currently wearing a Microsoft-related t-shirt?
No.
You're the only one who isn't, because I've got my logoed merchandise, and so does Mike.
Okay, maybe it's one of you then.
Let's see. Who talks the most?
Sarah.
Okay, Sarah.
The funniest part about that has to be you watch at his eyes as they're shifting around saying, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. Who's the messiest?
Oh. I don't know.
I can be a bit of a neat freak, so not me.
Yeah, same here. Uh-oh. You're not. I guess it's you.
Me? I don't think so. If we remember back to a certain episode where we were talking about our inboxes, who's the one who likes to live with the smallest inbox?
That's Sarah.
All right. So now we're getting into the really serious questions. Who's the nicest?
Antonio.
Really?
I think he's probably right about that one.
Okay.
And then right before we started, I have to throw this in there. Who's the tallest?
Mike.
Not me. And who is the youngest? We're absolutely not saying we know, but we're not sharing that one.
The youngest? Mike.
I am.
Way to put that out there, Antonio. That's all I have for the who is what. And I feel like it's an unfair advantage because
you can ask who's the oldest.
I did not ask who the oldest was.
Not.
It's not me. I wish I was the youngest though.
Almost.
Who has the most kids? Mike.
I do.
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 boys.
That's what I have. Hopefully people got to know us a little bit better.
Hopefully.
Here's the thing. It's we have such a good time recording these episodes, and what is the most fun, I think, is what people don't see, which is the all the time that we spend chatting before we start recording and the time that we spend chatting after we finish recording. And that even when you ask who's the nicest, I don't think that when's the last time we had a disagreement?
Never.
Yeah, I don't know if we
Never.
ever really have. I have a question for you all, actually. What's the best thing you like about being part of the MVP community?
Being connected to everyone, and everyone means connected to other MVPs, connected to Microsoft, and still being that connected to the community as well, and provide to the community or share the knowledge and the joy to teach others on the technology. And I can't put a ranking for all three. I think for me, they are in the same level. I cannot say connected to other MVPs and making friends is higher than connected to Microsoft or to the community. I think I enjoy all three aspects the most.
Sarah, what do you think?
I think you answered it really well, Mike, because there's certainly an element of learning and the ability to always learn new things and the ability to be able to provide feedback and input and to connect with the product team at Microsoft. But we also all helps organize, schedule, and put on events. So being able to give back to the community, one of the most rewarding things of running a SharePoint Saturday event, which all of us have done, is the notes that I get back from people sometimes where people have been able to meet people and actually they were looking for a job, found a new job based on meeting people and connecting at SharePoint Saturday events. So being able to offer a community and an ability for people to connect and talk about technology and bringing people together is definitely key. And then, you know what, I think that this community is so great because some of my very best friends are in this community, and that's something that's amazing too. And just personally, the ability to get to know people on a personal level, the ability to get to know our kids on personal levels, I think is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think you both answered that really well. The ability to connect with people in the community, both at Microsoft and outside of Microsoft, the opportunity to share knowledge with others and to learn from others, right? Like it's one thing to work in this technology space, but be able to connect with so many people, whether it's people right at Microsoft working on the product, people at Microsoft that train the rest of the world on the product or help to promote the product or take input, whether it's other MVPs like yourselves that I get to learn from, whether it's people at conferences I get to speak to, or clients that I get to speak to because of these connections, the opportunity to learn from everybody and to share that information from everybody, that I find it keeps this community just very, very fresh to work within, right? It never gets old working with this technology because of that. We're always learning. We always get to meet people, talk to people. There's so many opportunities to connect with people. It just keeps it always a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And it is a lot of fun because and the ability to travel and get to go places and see people, which I know all of us really want to get. I want to get back to doing. So hopefully in 2021, maybe that's a good question to end on. So as we've moved from 2020 into we're less than a week into 2021, but where are you hoping to be the first event that you get to travel to for Microsoft related things in 2021?
Well, the first one scheduled for is Chicago, and I love Chicago. So Chicago will be a great start for me.
Chicago is nice. When is that, Mike?
End of July.
Okay.
So hopefully,
fingers crossed,
it will stay on and we'll be able to do it.
Mike, we should definitely talk about doing that because you could fly into the Twin Cities in Minnesota and we could drive to Chicago.
We talked about that.
Chicago.
We talked about that. I like that.
Cool. So I love Chicago. Chicago would be fun. I actually really like going to Redmond and to the Microsoft campus. It's always fun to go there. I don't know when they're going to open up again, but that's always a lot of fun to go to. So that might be a nice one to go to first.
And normally there's an opportunity at least once or twice a year for us to be able to go out to the Redmond area and It's been, I don't think, since 2019. So
yeah, I think the last time I was there was October 2019.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, it's usually once or twice a year we get to go to Redmond, Seattle area, and that's always a lot of fun. How about you, Sarah?
For what? The next event?
Next place to travel to.
So I'm on the Chicago in July, and then I have a session at the European Collab Summit in June in Germany, but that's dependent on if we can travel by then. So fingers crossed. So,
great.
All right.
So I think that kind of answers all of that really well. So hopefully people get to know us well from that, and we look forward to doing a lot more podcasts for you throughout 2021, answering your questions. So if you get a chance, visit our website at m365voice.com and submit a question. Otherwise, we'll be coming up with questions and topics and guests to talk to you about. So thanks for joining us, everyone.
We're ready.
Bye-bye.